Yes, it's our first round table in this combination with Karlton, Terry, Amara, Eckert, Nese, Karabekir, Hakan, Çoker, Ludwig, Janus, Florentine, and Alexandra. Yes, and it is a start. And yes, I would like to invite Karlton to introduce this round table. What is your idea and motivation to to come to this structure?
Thank you, Kola. Appreciate it. And thank you so much for pulling this project together. It's really lovely. I was just saying earlier in our pre-meeting that there's so much wisdom here at this ISPPM round table today. We've got some old white men, we've got some young women, and we've got a good combination of different practitioners. And one of my challenges has been to transmit the wisdom we collectively have. We probably have half a decade of wisdom. How can we get our wisdom to filter down to the most important place where there's a garden that could be nurtured, and in that garden are women, young women of childbearing age. These are mothers, and they're going to be mothers. They're bringing new souls into the world, and we have so many possibilities to create change with compassion and with our experience. And one of our ideas is to try to help young women have more agency in the birth giving room. That's one of the topics we're going to talk about today. And we have some really wonderful, experienced, blessed people who are there in the birthing room, and they're on I call it the front lines. It's babies are coming through the world into their hands and into the hands of the families that they're supporting. And so I wanted Nisha, you and Hakan to maybe address Florentina and Alexandra and tell them a little bit about what you do that's so different and beautiful. And then it'd be great, Alex and Florentine, if you wanted to ask them some questions. The idea is, how can we give agency and power to young women when they find themselves giving birth in a birthing room? So, Nisha, would you like to tell us what you've been doing, how it's changing birth giving in Turkey?
Shall I start then? Neşe?
Sure, please.
Uh,
I follow you as always.
Thank you very much. So for the ones who doesn't know me, I am an obstetrician in Istanbul, and nearly 35 years after I graduated. And it's interesting to find this subject because Karlton is also my subject. I'm trying to find a way, just one sentence that works for every woman, to realize the power in their inner themselves for labor and birth. I mean, yes, there is a power of labor and birth. And even admitting this to myself, it took me nearly 30 years to find out that, yes, there is a power in woman to give birth. Because what we were taught at school was essentially a technical approach to childbirth. Technically, it's actually very easy to birth a woman, technically. If it happens on its own, it just happens. You don't do anything. If it doesn't, you administer medications to start labor. If the birth happens, it's okay. Or to fasten labor. If anything goes wrong, you perform a cesarean And in every case, theoretically, you become the heroic doctor. This is how it feels for the doctor, because you have saved a life. And it's same for the woman also, because you have done something she couldn't do herself, or you made her believe that she couldn't do herself. Everybody seems satisfied. What I have described so far is exactly what I really experienced for really many years. Then something changed. I encountered in childbirth preparation programs that changed my life. I looked through the eyes of a birthing woman to birth. So that wasn't enough. So I began to respecting the physiology of birth. Still not enough. I started asking myself, what more we can do to help women recognize their inner power and birth their babies with awareness. When I say I started, of course, it's not my start, because I have to acknowledge that there are already thousands of examples before me. Most of them are midwives, and there are few rare physicians like Grantly Decreed with the book Birth with No Fear, or French Dr. Leboyer Obstetric Violence book. They have been writing this since 1950s, and I read many of their books, but reading doesn't mean really understanding. It takes time. So even I was trying to support women in discovering this power, then I felt I was doing the right thing. Yeah, I mean, to tell the truth. Later realized how hard it actually is to help them truly experience that power. So I would like to categorize. I know you hate all women categorization, but technically, let's say, forgive me. The first group of women, this awareness comes naturally, very naturally, either from birth, from their culture, from their own birth experience, or from the teachings of their mothers and grandmothers. For these women, all they need is a safe space and a supportive birth team where they can truly feel and live this experience. When that happens, the ideal Nirvana team is formed, and you hear really magical birth stories from these women. In a safe and healthy environment, a woman gives birth while fully feeling the immense power of this birth. And the moment she witnesses this power, her life is never the same again. She sees the explosion within her. She sees her strength. She sees beyond that, she experiences unity with the world, the universe, all of the humanity, all animals, all the past and all the future. And she is never same if after this experience again. What does this mean? She becomes so empowered that she begins to guide, protect, and then trust her newborn to the future with a new kind of strength. She says, with this inner power, just she experienced, I can do any task in the world. She really feels the power. It's a big change. And there's another group of women who have the potential to discover this power, but they simply don't know how, and they need the support. So here, proper international, not judging, not forcing, proper childbirth education and appropriate support is really important during pregnancy or birth. First, they should be cleaned of the really negative myths of the society and the health systems attached to her. These women need to support through the all labor and birthing experience. When they succeed, independent from the way they give birth, either natural or cesarean or whatever it happens, they catch up with the first group of women and enjoy the power. And how did we, I mean, this is not a big discovery. If you talk any woman, probably they will say that, yes, I know that. But for an obstetrician, it is a discovery. I'm sorry. Honestly, can I do it on my own? Honestly, no, I can't do it on my own. Since 2010, we have been working together with Nese, who is the birth psychologist. That experience became a kind of translator for us doctors. someone who could interpret the emotional and physiological world the woman was living through. The psychologist was like a lens to us, revealing that we couldn't see with our medical training alone. They showed us the invisible threads in the birthroom, how energy and emotion move through the space, how every woman is connected to her past, to her traumas, how she is or she is not fully present in that moment. They helped us understand the connections between her pain and her past story, between her fears and her current state. To tell the truth, as we worked through them and experienced them, only they could we truly witness a woman meeting her inner power, a moment of profound transformation. Although this was going on, we also had some surprising realizations. One of the most powerful one for me was when a woman meets her inner power but is not ready for it, she can become even more afraid, more traumatized sometimes. And if she has a skilled obstetrician nearby or a midwife, someone who can do everything for her, she instinctively turns to them and asks for help. And she turns to the midwife for help. That's why in countries like mine, interventions and cesarean rates are so high. If, of course, it's a very seductive offer, a woman asking for help, and if you provide it, you get to be the hero again. But over the years, we started discovering something far more meaningful, how to gently guide her out of the spiral of fear, and how to help her embrace the power she just met, how to help her love it, stop fearing it, and let it become a part of her. And that's when I really started feeling obstetrics, not before that. Before, it was like technical something, but now it is being there, really being there and helping the woman. And of course, there is one more group, which is women who don't even want to meet that inner power. Even though you try to tell them, they don't want to hear. The reasons vary: past traumas, past how they were raised, lack of self-worth, or viewing the baby as a project rather than a person. I'm not saying that they don't have this power within them. Absolutely, they have. What they lack is the courage to face it, maybe. So this group often prefers technological birth. That's what we call it. They want the doctor to birth their babies for them. They don't want to feel the pain at all. Depending on the country, either they have so much interventions, or like our country with 63% cesarean rate, they often have the choice of planned cesarean. So the hard part for me is, I wish I could tell these women just how much they are missing out and what they miss when they can't meet that power. But as you will accept, you can't say this to a woman who gave birth, that you missed the power. No matter what kind of birth she preferred, you can't say this to a woman. It's not possible. So we must help her still stay strong within the circumstances she has chosen, and we must help her to become a good, loving mother for their babies. And unfortunately, the power of birth does not serve her in that moment. That's also the truth. So yes, I wish I could say it, but I believe that neither I nor anyone else should say it at that time. So my dream is one day all women will meet the power within themselves. But when I look around the world at the moment, I don't see this is becoming a broad social shift, at least not yet.
Well,
So
maybe that's why we're here.
maybe.
Maybe
So
we
that's
can
why.
nudge that shift along, you know?
So this transformation is still happening, and on an individual level, with women who actually seek it out, we try to help them. So we try to guide these women to meet their own power, and instead of the doctors, them to be the hero of the birthing rooms. That's what I think about your sentences. Thank you.
Thank you, Hakan. I've got Nisha, maybe before you go, we could address something Hakan was just talking about. I have a question, Alex, maybe I'll ask you first, is if you knew this information Hakan just said, what would you have done differently with your births that you had?
Many things, I'd say. I was a little, not totally blind to the power, to the inner power, but it was interesting to hear what Hakan was saying about the power of a birth, because for me, my two births were empowering because of the lack of power, because of the disempowerment I felt during my two births. I could then rise and do something for the rest of the mothers I work with and for the babies I work with. And so I guess I did my birth prep. I did by the book, I wanted to do things differently. I wanted to be born different than I was born. I wanted to give my child the best birth they could ever have. But then when I got to the birthing room, I was met with all the technological side of things, and it felt so constraining and so restraining and so disempowering that I could move. I went into shock, and at that point, I had nobody to kind of help me when I got to the birthing room. So I thought I was actually doing that, when I did my birth preparation. It was only when I got to the birthing room that I thought, hang on, I missed something in my birth preparation. I missed somebody like Dr. Hakan and Nisha, I missed, people who actually could do some deeper work with me that wasn't done because it was done by the book, maybe. But the power within, it's something that I think it would have made a difference to me, and have somebody to hold my hand all the way through, and, nurturing that power before I found out that this power can actually be so powerful when I get to that point that I'm gonna go into shock, that I believe that so much that when that happens and I find I'm face to face with that power, I do not give up, if that makes sense. So yeah, definitely the words chosen really matter, and the approach to the inner power and to the individual power we have, but also to what we are going to find. Because I think so many times as a birth worker and working with moms for a while now, and as a mother who gave birth twice in not very favorable conditions, I feel that we are too afraid sometimes of speaking the truth of what women are going to find when they get to the hospital. And it is a tricky situation, but I think if I knew what was going on really, I would have prepared myself a little bit better, I think. So I just felt betrayed in a way, that nobody told me what was actually happened. And I had to go through all of that before actually finding out.
It could be so overwhelming just walking through the doors of a hospital or a clinic. It's so easy to feel like, okay, well, I've entered the kingdom of the experts. And God, who am I? And I don't realize that if I had a niche next to me, every step of the way, whatever is happening next, it's up to me. It's my agency to get information and make decisions based on that information. And I'm sure that's what Nisha, is an expert at. Let's see what you have to say about that, Nisha. Could you?
Yeah, sure, sure. Thank you so much, Alex. And it really touched my heart, and I feel what you're saying. I may just add some few sentences. I don't want to take so much time. What Hakan said. I think he's a living experience, by the way, living or walking example as a reverse obstetrician, like from the very like left brain and medical one to the like a right brain and to feel even the not only the woman and the baby, but also to feel the room atmosphere itself. So what happened about this? Because okay, we of course we're gonna talk about empowering women, empowering fathers, but also I want to mention about empowering the birth workers, especially medical staff, doctors, midwives as well. So that's why we kind of try to work as a team together, like a doctor, midwife, birth psychotherapist, and sometimes doula. Depends on how women want, how many people the family want, of course. Sometimes, they feel, well, it's a lot of people, it's very crowded, where is the privacy? Something like this. But actually, just imagine everybody in the team is working differently and with a different time whenever there is a need. And then this profession is on the stage. Like for instance, just imagine as a birth psychotherapist, I start working during the pregnancy with mother, with father, and with grandmothers because of the transgenerational issues, and also with the birth team together. So actually, I'm trying to build the base from the pregnancy time. Then when I am in the labor, during the birth, all bondings, all trust, already has been built up during the pregnancy. So whatever it happens during the birth, any different fears, any different questions, any different misunderstandings between the parties. So actually, the birth psychotherapist knew from the beginning and feel it, and sometimes just to sense it, what is going on. So this is actually not only empowering the woman, but empowering the birth field itself. So this empowering is also helping not only the mother, but the father and the birth team, who are always going to be labor every time, not only one time, and also to the baby itself. So this I think this is very important in our Birth with No Regret team. We are trying not to miss anybody in this field. And whatever it happens, as Dr. Hakan says, even it's a C-section, or if it's a natural birth or water birth or land birth, we call it sometimes. So it all depends how and when baby wants to come to our world. And I think this is the secret. And the last thing is, I think, our power in the birth team is we really take care of the birth team as well. I personally, my important part is if I don't take care of my birth team, because obviously I'm taking care of the mother and the father and extended family members. Well, because we are in Turkey and we have lots of extended family members, you cannot count it even, like, 15 people, 20 people, cousins, children, and grandmothers. Yeah, I mean, you cannot count it. So it means I have to also take care of these extended family members in order to take them easy. And what I'm saying is, I think we are missing also the birth team. Because I am working with the doctors, obstetricians especially. They are full of fear. They are very scared, and they don't know what to do really. And they always accuse to do this, not to do this, or you're not respected this. But what about these humans? I mean, they were already babies and they were already born. So it means maybe our power is to put the importance of their traumas, also their birth experiences, not to interfere their their clients' birth field. So maybe Florentine or Alexandra, if you just imagine your doctor or your midwife or your birth supporters also work through their own birth traumas. I mean,
Wow.
it's not supposed to be trauma, by the way. I'm using the word of trauma, but it's not supposed to be trauma. It could be like an experience. It could be like any kind of regret. But think about it. They work on it and they're very kind of clean about their past, and then they are very sensitive about stepping into your birthing field. I think it's just marvelous. So that's what I fall in love, actually. So in my 34th of profession, I'm already a psychotherapist, and I'm also training the psychotherapist as a psychodrama training. So I found it's very important we as a psychotherapist be in this birthing room and to take care of everybody.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you, Nese.
Thank you.
I know it's a dream for most of us, but you're implementing it. So we need to find ways to clone what you're doing and spread it around. Flortina, when you hear Dr. Hakan and Nese talk, I wonder if you have any ideas about how we could get this kind of information to girls, girls or mothers to be, even before they get pregnant, and especially when they're pregnant. How can we reach them? Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, when I listened to you, Dr. Hakan, I remembered the importance of birth preparation and childbirth education, and I myself used to work in Nanaya, which is in Vienna, Austria. Maybe some of you know this, and we offered, they still offer. I moved to the US in the meanwhile, but we offer child education, childbirth preparation there, and that's where we were sharing these kinds of things as well. Like like you have the power, and women's bodies, they know how to give birth. This is inherent naturally. Because I remember when I gave those courses, that was so new to so many women. It was like for us working there, it was like natural wisdom. That's why we were working there. But so many were like just giving all the power over to the medical team, to the nurses and the doctors and the midwives, and just like they will take care. Like you said, they, like women want them to birth their babies. And I've seen that so many times, like just like automatically they will take care. If there's any problem, they will take care, like giving the power over right from the beginning. And they have never actually, not all, of course, like you say, there are some who have that natural knowing, that natural body wisdom for whatever reasons. Their story is different. They have their, different maternal lineage, maybe, or whatever the story there, but so many just automatically come to the birth in this disempowered state. And for them, it like what you said, I was like, yes, we need to tell this to the pregnant women in that's like one example, this course, it's birth preparation, because most couples that are somewhat conscious, and especially the first mothers, who get their first baby, at least in Austria, I don't know in other countries, they go to these kinds of courses, like, because they want to learn, what do I do when I get my contractions? What, like more the technical stuff. They actually come for the technical stuff. And then they are rather surprised when you talk about things like the power of a woman's body and the power of the woman's womb and the power of the connection of the child and the mother. They don't even look for those kinds of things usually. But those are the places. That's what I was thinking when I was listening to, like, one of the main places, I would say, like wherever parents, wherever moms to be go to for their preparation for birth. That's where these kinds of messages should be given, and I don't know if all these kinds of centers do have that kind of message. I think there's also differences. Some might actually teach rather technical. Like when I was a first time pregnant, I was so lucky that I feel like the universe just really helped me and supported me so much. I didn't even consciously look for that, but I ended up with a woman who was also teaching me exactly these kinds of things, like you shared, And then I just went into the birth with this natural, I can do this. I totally trusted myself. But I had this amazing, incredible woman birth preparation lady who just embodied that, So that was me very, very lucky. So if all, couples could have that kind of message already in the pregnancy, that would be wonderful, And I don't know if they would be ready to hear that even before they're conceiving, but latest by the time of pregnancy.
Well, that's the tricky part, isn't it, Florentine? Because when you're pregnant, and especially if you're approaching the second and third trimester, you're like, whoa, I'm going to give birth. I got to start thinking about this. What am I going to do? You're highly motivated. And, like Hakan was saying, and I know Nishi said, all of us support this. What about before she gets pregnant or while she's pregnant? And what about the very early stages of pregnancy? And I know, Amara, you and Kola have both worked with with these young mothers and supporting mothers during pregnancy, before pregnancy. Would one of you like to fit in and say something about what we can do for unpregnant mothers to be? I think you're already a mother if you're wanting to be a mother, and then you become a mother, then, and of course at conception you're already a mother. So would you like to step up and say something? Kola, you're getting pointed at by Amara.
Yeah. Amara, would you like to start?
Okay. I can start, yes. So if a woman is not pregnant, might be interesting to talk about these things, but it's very different if she's pregnant. So we can talk in theory about things, but if a woman is pregnant, it's very different. What I'm doing is preparing the field before birth. And that means I remember a woman coming because of a sacklage. She was not coming for sure. She was coming by Zoom. She needed to lie in bed, and she was desperate about what to do and how to survive this pregnancy. So in this case, we found the most important thing is to connect to the baby and to tell her what happens in that time she was in. And so connecting to the baby only worked when she was connected to herself. So we worked on heart contact, heart connection. We established a good heart connection. And then from the heart, she started to connect to the baby, and her desperation slowly, slowly faded away. And she was more and more at ease, let's say, not completely, but the most she could do at ease, to lie down all the time. And let's talk about other things. So let's talk about the family interventions. So if there's usually it's new when the first child comes, the family drops in and the family starts taking over and telling the woman what to do, and maybe grandmothers, mostly, not so much grandfathers, but grandmothers wanting to be the first. And so in this case, a consolation might be helpful to tell the woman the place of the grandmother and what's her place, and to let her experience this. I like to do in person, not online. This needs to be in person, actually. And to experience the place in the family right now, and that her place in the family is changing when a baby is coming. And that the place in the family of the grandmother and the grandfather is a different one. And then we talk about how to deal with this, how to talk to the grandmother and the grandfather, and to encourage the woman to empower herself for her place in the family, to take that place in the family. And connecting to the child in this constellation usually helps to take the place in the family. So a key is to connect to the baby, to connect to the heart, of course, always first, and then connect to the baby. Then start talking to the baby and waiting for the baby to answer. And it takes time. It takes time, and it takes time to find out where is a good place in daily life to talk to the baby. For few women, it's in nature. For other women, it's in a special room. And a place where she feels supported to talk to the baby. And the last step is to support the woman to stay in contact, whatever happens when she goes to hospital, and stay with this empowering she has in the family. She has her place, and she has her place and her authority in the hospital, whatever happens. And about if something goes wrong, never lose the contact to the baby. Maybe something goes wrong and it's going to be a cesarean or something. Never lose the contact to the baby. That's all. And so mostly this works in a way or other. And this, even if there is, if it's a cesarean or if it's a vacuum or whatever, it's really helpful to stay connected to the baby and to tell the baby, we are making it. We both.
Beautiful, Amara. That's a precious connection.
That's what I can say.
Thank you so much. Vegas, Kola, do you want to add on to that about something?
Yes. And you asked this question, what can we do before the woman is pregnant? And this is a question which I'm familiar with since I work since 1985 with pregnant women. And from that time on, I have always the idea how we can reach the woman before she's pregnant, how we can prepare them, that they can have a conscious pregnancy from the beginning on, conception, and to clear up the past, their own birth, the relation to her mother, to the parents, and so on, what Amara is speaking about. And it's not a tradition in our culture any longer. When I look into the yoga tradition or in the Indian traditions, they have this consciousness that they prepare the young women, the young couples to get parents. And the one way, and it doesn't work really well to give classes for couples or women before they get pregnant. But yesterday I had a very nice conversation with a pregnant woman, and I would like to share this conversation because it gives an answer for you. And I think Ludwig would be very happy to hear that now because, yes, this pregnant woman, she is coming in my yoga class, and we had a short conversation, and she told me that she has an older daughter, she's 14 years old, and in this class, a midwife was invited, and this midwife shared and explained everything around birth to the children. And these 14 years old children were very, very interested and open to get all this knowledge. And now this 14 years old daughter, she always said to her mother, I know you experienced that and you experienced that. And this is the best, one of the best way to prepare the young women to get later a mother when they get this knowledge and this wisdom from an experienced midwife during school time. But this would be also a very good example. This is what I want to share at this point. As Florentine said in the beginning, I had the question, what would be the best preparation for her own birth when she was pregnant with her first baby? Would help and support her to stay in her power during birth? This is always a question I have. I have answers, but I want to ask the young mothers if they have an idea what would be helpful.
Sorry, Kola, was this a question for me or for Florentina?
I'm open.
Okay, Florentine, can I go ahead and answer? Are you okay with that? Okay, cool. I'm noticing, and this is something that I'm doing right now, well, that I've been doing with the mother as I prepare for birth as well as a birth doula. But I'm noticing that our conversation here is going around the relationship and the relational field and much less around birth and, the technical side of birth preparation and contraction and the physiology of birth. And this is how I feel that mothers reach out to us as doulas to prepare for birth. They want to know about the physiology of birth, about when contractions come, about positions and all that. But actually what we're talking about here is exactly the thing that I feel would have made a huge difference to me, because I'm coming from a very disturbed and complex relational field with a lot of generational trauma. And I feel the relationship, and I had been through a big chunks of psychotherapy myself, and still, because birth was not addressed, my birth was not addressed, specific parts of my relational field were not addressed. I feel that when I got to birth, I was lacking that. So prenatal bonding, for example, for me would be a huge, incredible intervention that would have helped me massively. I was hearing Amara talking about, always contact with the baby, always talk with the baby. And I felt the chills, it's like, oh my God, how many of us women miss that bit, whatever happens, never stop communicating with the baby. Never forget that these are two people doing this job, and not only two people, like Nisha and Dr. Hakan were saying, it's like a whole relational field of people actually, getting together in so many different ways for that moment to happen. But this is something that I'm doing with women I'm preparing too, never forget that this is a continuum, this is a relationship. Birth is a powerful portal, is a powerful moment in the relationship, but in the background, there's a relationship. There are many relationships going on, and if you never miss kind of that connection with the relationships, things are easier and fluid and in harmony with what's supposed to happen. So I think that relationship, the part of where I come from and where that comes into my own pregnancy and my process of becoming a mother for the first time mostly, but also for the following ones too, because every experience is different. That would have made a massive difference to me, to focus on the relationship to my, future child at present and future child, from the child that I was, the baby I was, and how I was born and where I was coming from with that feeling, because by working with Karlton, I just ended up discovering, for example, something that it would have made, oh my God, an incredible difference to me. The reason why I wanted to become a mother in the first place. And it was not a fair place for my children to compensate for the relationship I did not have. If I knew that, if I had worked through that during my first pregnancy, wow, wow, incredible, totally different place I would find myself in. So, yeah.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
This
is also my experience. It's if we can stay in contact with our body, with our intuition, and in contact with the baby, this is the most important thing, to feel empowered or not. And then the fact how the birth and labor is happening and going on, it's not the most important thing. Sometimes we have difficulties and unexpected things happened, and if we get support, even we've lost the connection to ourselves or to our baby, if we have support from outside, from the partner, from the midwife, from the doctors, to come back into contact with the baby, this is the most empowering and the thing we can do. And afterwards, the woman feels good, even if it wasn't cesarean, at least because there was some difficulties. Then they have not a trauma about cesarean, because we have this contact, we stay in contact with what Nese is saying, and stay together as a team.
Thank you, Kola. Hakan, you want to say something? Yeah.
I think, what we all do here is great, but to focus on what you need, Karlton, I would like to ask Alexandra a question, if possible. I will try to be very polite, and you say, if you had this experience before, you had this work before, you had this, and you would be different, okay? So they were there. What stopped you? It's not what stopped you. What kind of something, whatever it is, would make you to realize that let's have this experience and works before the pregnancy? So that's the question. So we must find something to empower the unpregnant woman to experience what you are experiencing and you are thankful to. So
yeah, that's
what
the
can be
problem.
that's the point.
How can they know what they don't know unless we find a way to help them know?
Yeah,
Alex,
I think, yes, that's right. I think that's the question. How do you know what you don't know? You don't know what you don't know. And the truth is that I was already in the path of healing, in a path of healing, in a journey of healing of myself, of my own past, of my past relationships. I was not planning to get pregnant, and all of a sudden, there I am, in an unplanned pregnancy, a very tricky situation, and it was really complex for me to all of a sudden my life was going to change forever, and I have a child which I very much wanted, but I know I want to do things differently, but right there, and there's something that I feel, and it's more than a feeling than actually a certainty, but a feeling of experience and of my own experience of the people I work with. And, you tell me from your own perspective, but I feel there's a certain stubbornness and rigidity when people get into pregnancy. Nishe, are you familiar with this sense as well? There's a certain sense, I felt that too, now I'm going to do things this way, and I want this to happen this way. And if it goes out of this thing that I'm idealizing, it's all wrong, and it can't be that way. So that's the tricky part. When you get into the pregnancy part, there's a certain rigidity to kind of an openness at the same time, because everything is new and you are kind of open to different ways of doing things, but there's also rigidity in the way you want to give birth. And that makes things quite tricky. The other tricky part is that before you are pregnant, you are not that open to particular interventions that are pregnancy related or birth related, right? So, and to go back to what Kola was saying, and I found that really interesting, is that go even, further back into the development, the human development, and education, and actually talk about birth and, and pregnancy much earlier than actually when you are about to give birth. So yeah, I think it's really a tricky one, that question, because I didn't know what I didn't know, but I knew better the second time around. And you mentioned that as well. The second time around, my focus was totally different, but I think I was just unlucky with COVID and the moment in time where things happen. And maybe there's a learning for me too, in that, to empower me to do things with the families I work with. So I think the second time around, I was a little unlucky in the timing that I got pregnant, because if it hadn't been for that, I think things would have been super different for me in the stage that I was at the time that I was pregnant the second time around. So it just feels like it takes the first really difficult experience sometimes for women to think, hang on, there must be a different way to do this, there must be a different way. And then they go out and look for different things. But, I don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And I guess in the age of social media, maybe you have to use the weapons of the new age, like social media and, when influencers that actually are already talking about that, and take them on board and sort of collectively talk about these issues. And the more we talk about them, we see things changing. Women are wanting to know more. So yes, it's a tricky one. I don't know if it was helpful, my reply, my answer.
Bravo, Alex. Thank you. It is a huge dinosaur of a mountain to try to change things in the educational rules of our schools to try to reach girls at a younger age, especially, with this vast swing to the right, where the right-wing political machine is trying to take control of our schools. So how can we come up with these ideas that they probably think are, well, I guess what I was trying to say is that to reach women, young women, girls, 16, 17-year-olds, if we can't do it through the school system and through sex education, which is pitiful in America, I don't know how it is in your country. If we can't get it into the schools, and maybe we can, and we should keep trying, how do we get to them? Florentine, do you have any ideas? You work with young women and girls. How can we reach them when they're just into boyfriends and music and fashion and surfing TikTok? And
I feel that this is a part of a much, much bigger issue, that there's such a disembodiment happening in general, and also the awareness that we need to heal. I'm not talking now about the girls, but just like young adults, before they even get pregnant or while they're in a partnership and they decide to get a child, there's just a lack of, it's like almost everybody's carrying pain from their own childhood, their own birth or pregnancy, but it's like so suppressed and so in the subconscious, and it's just a collective. We don't talk about these things. We don't want to look at those things. So that's what I was thinking when I was listening to you all before, that this is a very particular part of our collective pain, how we came in, conception, pregnancy, birth, and the first years, and especially because we can't really remember it with our mind. It's pre-verbal memory, so it's even more difficult to access. And so I don't know, I feel like this is a very, very big question. Going back a little bit to what Alex was talking about, how can we heal ourselves, or how can we even have an awareness about this before we even get pregnant, so that we clean up ourselves before we even bring a child in. That would be the ideal, right? So I feel like it somewhere needs to be, like the awareness needs to come in somehow collectively that we do need to heal, and especially when we want to have children. I don't know how how this can be done, in the most effective way, but I was just seeing this is very, very big, and the birthing is just one slice of that much, much bigger collective darkness, that all of us are to some degree in, that don't want to look at our wounds, don't want to heal ourselves, denying them, so yeah, that came to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, Eckert, then I can add one thought or one experience when I work with pregnant women. I still listen to their thoughts and worries about pregnancy and birth, and there was always connected with their own experience during their own birth and their own pregnancy, and when they could see the relation, the connection between their thoughts and worries and their own experience, it could change and relax very, very easily. And this was a gift for me when I was working with pregnant women, that it's the option for change and development is so easy, and so it's always worth to listen to this woman and ask the right questions, and then the change can happen very, very easily.
Yeah. Once the door is open.
Yes, it is open. Yeah.
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 Lutz, hi, you look like you've got something to say. Thank you, Kola. Thanks so much. Oops, you're still muted, Lutz.
Yeah, I
There.
think what we are discussing here and presenting here is so important. We should not have 25 participants, but 25,000 minimum. It is so important. And we have to realize my grandfather and grandmother were delegates from the society to being father and mother, and the contact with the children made a maid, a servant. They were only statues as mother and father, no relation to the king. It was made by the servants. The father of Winston Churchill had 2 real speeches, talks with his son Winston. 2 talks in the whole life.
Wow.
Father, no. We have this history. My parents tried to be persons, but there was this difficult time of war. There was no time for the children. But I realized this is not good. And therefore I engaged in psychotherapy and psychology. And in my life, prenatal psychology and birth psychology of the pre-birth baby was realized, was developed by Janus, Grof, William Emerson, Karlton. He trained me. Oder Thomas Verney, das Seelenleben des Unborn, the soul life of the unborn baby. It was realized in my life, and I to realize in my life. And we created this ISPPM and this bonding analysis society and the psychohistorical society, and the knowledge is there. And maybe we should, but what I think it is important to realize how new all this is, what Amara said about the contact. I think my mother did not know what this crazy woman is saying. Mother, contact to my unborn baby? That is the problem of the doctor and nature and God. In the 40s, there was the women were birthing machines for the Hitler, and the men were fighters. We coming out of this world, and I think in this sense we can, because we are coming from this world, we are so few, only 25 instead of 20,000. We are in the beginning, but all we are doing is so important, this point of relationship before birth, and we and society should enable to create a space that this can happen, as Nese and Hakan does do it in Turkey, and we try to, or Kola tries in her frame, everybody in his frame, and by this bonding analysis. And if I heard your discussion or contributions, I thought of the schools project. It is not, the birth preparation is very important, that was said, very important to create that there coming the majesty of the world, the queen of the world. It's not the father, the master, big master, only the mother is the big master, and the little prince and princess in the womb. And she has this schools project. We should bring, and everybody of us should bring this knowledge. The material was created by Gabriela Ferrari. In Germany, it is realized in Italy partly, and in Germany it is by Rupert Linder. If you send to him, you can get the material. In Switzerland, it's Antonia Stulz-Koller, because it should be done in the school, latest in the school, not in the birth preparation. That is late. And in my time, I think my relation to a woman was more the fairy tale style. Love is enough. If you love, all things happen automatically. But we can reflect it, as you showed it. We have to reflect it. And we have to, that we are the persons. It's not God, it's not nature. We are gods or queens, and have to realize what Amara said, the contact. And then the baby is living in a world, in a living world, in relation. Then this changed the world with Karlton Terry, the title of your book. Change, you can change, we can change the world. That's real. And next meeting, 20,000 minimum. Thank you.
Thank you, Lutz. I just thank you for the context. You always bring in this historical context that gives us this overview. And we see ourselves as these small players making our little, our battles and trying to do our help and trying to reach things that could, change the world just a little bit. And I sometimes forget historically how far we've come. And we need to empower ourselves even more now because things are happening so much more, they're happening faster and faster. I feel like I'm running behind a car full of generations younger than me, but there's a car in front of that that's even younger, and a car in front of that. Those young women, girls, are really who we need to reach out to. Yeah, Lutz.
Yeah, my recommendation is that the parents or the becoming parents speak each other of their family background, of their birth, how was their way in the world. We have now this, what birth dynamic is. You can go to the internet and download images from the birth process. That is new, quite new. But I think it would be important. And our challenge also is that everybody, every doctor, obstetrician should have birth experience courses, self-experience.
Yes.
And every midwife, minimum, it's unverantwortlich in German. It's to make obstetrician obstetrician without self-experience. It's very strange. I just look in a book about obstetrician or Geburtshilfe. Birth is 400 pages, 1.5 pages about the birth process. It's crazy. The doctor learns 1.5, it is a mechanical go through, nothing else. No existential event, no relational event, no cultural event, nothing. Only mechanical going through. And 400 and 390 85 pages about difficulties in this sense, about hormones and what you should do in this and all. This is the time where Hakan is a solitaire. I know no Hakan in Germany. Maybe Sven Hildebrand is one Hakan, and one. But we need thousands of Hakans and thousands of Sven Hildebrands, but only one. It's very strange. And this is a situation. Therefore, I think this can give us power to continue. Right? And although there's only one Nanaya in Vienna, no in Heidelberg, nothing in Cologne, nothing in Berlin, it's very strange. And the strange thing is the bonding analysis is only focused on the prenatal time. They don't nothing know about birth. Very strange. Very, very strange. And therefore, Karlton, you will make a course, and I think all bonding analysts had to participate in your course because basic knowledge about transformation of birth is basic human knowledge. We have it now, we can adjust it, and we have to realize it in our life.
Yeah, thank you, Lutz.
Yeah.
Birth is a prenatal life, preconception, prenatal life, birth, and post-birth. It's a continuum. They shouldn't be separated from each other. We should honor all of these stages together as one wave of embodiment for a soul to join us here in the extrauterine world. So we should, share all our seeds of knowledge with each other's individual approaches and work together. Thank you, Lutz.
Yeah.
Well, Amara, you have your hand up high.
Yes, I appreciate what you said, Lutz. And I want to add that I recently talked to a midwife, and she said she came to she found out old books about birth. And she did a training with Barbara Kosfeld, a German woman. She works on traditional midwifery. And she told me that there were books about this period, books, not only sentences. And she told exactly the same, that there is a very small passage about birth and about preparation of birth and about the woman. And her understanding changed a lot when she read these old books.
Thanks, Amara. I would love to hear from our young mothers, just if you have an overall general sense of what's of value of what we're talking about, and how can we learn from you who are young mothers in this new world. It looks like
what I was feeling very strongly when you were talking, Alexandra, about your personal experiences, like if I had known this, I would have done that. Like stories, sharing our experiences. I think this is the way to reach mothers and mothers to be, or even before conception, because and like you said, I think we have to use the social media, because that's where young people communicate and educate themselves. And my daughter is right there. Hi. So sharing from our experiences, I think, is the way now in the modern times to have women learn from us, from our mistakes as well as our successes, like the positive experiences, the negative, because we learn so much from where we failed, right? And that we can share as well. And I feel there's just so much in sharing our stories, and maybe we could be so many more than just the two of us, just sharing our stories, and in this way speak to other young women, and then have them, if they want, they can reach out, they can ask more questions, just to give them inspirations. That in itself is already so powerful. Just hear what is possible. Like, oh, you did your birth without any medication, and you didn't even need a midwife. Like, for some reason, that was easy for me. But bonding with my child during the pregnancy, for example, that was difficult. Like, I had my strengths and my weaknesses. But from both, I think if I shared my stories openly, people could really learn. And same from your stories, Alexandra, and from every single woman's stories. Also the wiser older women who are now in the grandmother age, I feel actually we need those very, very strongly too, because you have just so much wisdom and a whole treasure of knowledge at this point in your life, and young mothers, they need the older maternal figures as well. So I feel it's not only us young ones, but all generations. So that was just what came to me.
Thank you, Florentine. Lutz, it looks like you've got something you want to share.
My proposal would be that we repeat this so important event in German, as a repeated and Karlton with subtitles.
Okay.
And in German and also Nese, the subtitles, but mainly German. That the English limitates the number of participants. Some is different. For many, it's strange language. and even especially for young mothers, maybe some of them. And therefore, we should repeat it. This event, empowering, and I think it was a very good in continuity and supplementary of the contribution. Very informative.
Thank you, Lutz. I'll be there if I can help. Let me know. I just want to thank you, Lutz, for you plowed this earth for us to walk in and to find the seeds you've planted, and it's our job to water them and nurture them, and it's our job to reach behind us and bring along those who are younger than us to see the field that's available, the relational field, the compassionate field, the empowerment field, giving young women agency. So thank you. And how come you've got your hand up again? Hi, can you unmute? Yeah, thanks.
We are all trying to find a very effective solution. I know we are all enthusiastic about empowering women all over the world. But I have been teaching since 2008, and that's my only question. Let's find a word that will affect the community, all the society. In some ways, we succeeded. We are successful because we created a sample of positive birth stories. And people seeing this when we shared, they wanted the same, but they just want it. They don't want to work on it. They just want it. They see the picture, they bring the picture to the doctor, wherever it is. They say, I want this bird. And if the doctor says, do this, do that, I don't want to do them. I want to pay you. I want to do this. So since 2008, I'm really trying to find the answer to that specific question. Nowadays, what I found myself is the new generation is a generation of buying generation. I mean, they want to buy something. If you don't sell it, they don't get it. So we have to glamorously, put lots of golden everything on our words. One.
Yeah. They
And
need
the
a
second
venue.
time, the second they are affected is the fear. I know it's a very big conflict. I know, and I'm in a conflict too. But when they see the fear, they work on it also. But without harming them, using the fear for a positive thing, I hope we can find a solution.
Yeah, to motivate. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Hakan. Well, Cole, I think it's about time to wind up. What do you think?
Yes, we planned 1.5 hours, and I think it's a good time for our roundtable and the discussion. Would you like to add something, to say something to this topic, Karlton?
Me?
At the end, for example.
Well, I think it's good for us to keep meeting and keep wondering how we can outreach and maybe find outreach specialists who can find, these creators and these influencers have so much power, and they're talking about lipstick, and they're talking about makeup, and they're talking about nappies and what's the best kind of baby lotion. We need to take their minds one step deeper. So I think this is what we have to do. And we're always researching, we're always curious, we're always sharing the work we know one-on-one in workshops and sessions. But Lutz is right. We need at least 25,000 minimum by the end of the year. So that's an high goal.
Next time.
So let's meet again. I just thanks again, Kola, for setting all this up. I know it's a lot of work. I appreciate it.
Repetition in German.
Okay.
And we make the titles for all languages. I think it's very important. And I would like to take an opportunity to say thank you, Karlton, and all speakers. It's always lovely to meet you guys. And I'm so happy to see you and part of this community. I feel at home. Thank you for
Bless
the
you. Thank you,
participation as
Nisha.
well.
Always good to see you too.
Yes, thank you for this idea, Carlton, and to you for your organization for this evening. And yes, we will see how we can go on. And I also want to say thank you to Olga. She shared some very, very important thoughts in the chat. We can, it's good to have a look there also. And yes, I want to say thank you to everyone who was interested and join our meeting. And I thank you also, Florentine and Alexandra. It was wonderful to meet you and to listen to you. Yes, because you are the next generation and you have this knowledge and the experience. And so, yes, so we go on and yes, we could be more people tonight, but at the same time, there are so many online conferences and meetings about this topic. So I'm hopeful it goes on and we spread the knowledge.
Thank you all. Bye-bye. See you
Thank
later.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.